This is mineral driven. Four has ripe red and black fruit, some staining. Okay. Oak for sure. And this is jammy with lots of staining and no rotundone. Bright, crystal clear, slightly reductive. Okay. All right. Wine number 2 is a moderate concentration of straw with secondaries of silver. Tearing is heavy. There's no gas evidence or sediment. On the nose, the wine is clean with a moderate plus intensity and youthful. Fruit on the nose. There's ripe lemon, bruised yellow apple, overripe pear, with lemongrass, sorrel, high intensity of a chalky minerality, with vanilla, coconut, and dill, indicating a high intensity of new small format French oak barrels. There's a waxy candle wax quality as well. On the palate, the wine is dry, acidity is high, alcohol is high, body is full, texture is soft. Confirming on the palate, overripe lemon, underripe peach, or fresh, overripe lemon, fresh peach, ripe yellow apple, high intensity of a limestone minerality, bread dough and cheese rind indicating lees aging, getting that on the nose and the palate. Vanilla, dill, and coconut indicating a high intensity of new French oak. Hazelnut and a bit of fresh or like green fig as well. Wine is in balance, length is long, complexity is high. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Chardonnay and Viura. I think this wine's coming from a warm climate. Possible countries are France and Spain. Age range is 3 to 5 years. Final conclusion, wine number 2 is a Viura from Spain, from the Rioja Autonomia, La Rioja DOCA, vintage 2020, Reserva. Okay, Riesling, Semillon. A little bit grassy, but not 100%. Some ripe ripe red fruit here, really juicy. Smells Rhonish, Syrah-like, peppery. Okay, pepper, Rotondone on wine number 4. Still lots of new oak on wine number 5, but no Rotondone and no pyrazines either. Ripe fruit though. And kind of a similar story on wine number 6. Oak, ripe fruit with no evidence of pyrazines or Rotondone. Alright, these two are kind of a pair. Alright, and then this is really peppery with some staining and New World fruit character. All right. Alright. There's leaves on that. Wine number 3 is a crystal clear concentration of a moderate minus straw with secondaries of silver and green. Tearing is medium minus. There's no gas evidence or sediment. On the nose, the wine is reductive. Fruit on the nose, fresh lemons, green apples, green fig. Red dough, fresh pastry, honeysuckle, delicate white flowers, high intensity of a stony minerality, no evidence of oak. On the palate, wine is dry, acidity is high, alcohol is medium minus, body is medium minus, texture is linear, and there's no phenolic bitterness, confirming on the palate. Fresh lemons, green apples, green fig, there's a bit of hay, bread dough, and fresh pastry. Biscuit on the finish, long lingering, slightly honeyed paraffin, candle wax, and panna cotta on the nose and on the palate. High intensity of a stony minerality and no evidence of oak. Wine is unbalanced, length is long, complexity is medium plus. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Riesling and Semillon. I think this wine's coming from a warm climate. Possible countries are Australia. Age range is 3 to 5 years. Age range is 5 to 10 years. Final conclusion, wine number 3 is a Semillon from Australia, from New South Wales, from the Hunter Valley zone, from the Hunter GI, from vineyards in the Pocoblin GI, vintage 2017. This one's reductive, stinky, old world wine with reduction, possible leaves. Probably move on to that. And I'm pretty sure these are both different expressions of modern Spanish wines. Wine number 4 is a medium concentration of a hazy ruby with a slightly faded ruby rim. Staining is moderate. There is no gas evidence. However, there is a couple, or no sediment either on the nose. Wine is clean, moderate plus intensity and youthful. Fruit on the nose, violets, iris, fresh cracked pepper, bacon fat, vanilla and toast indicating a moderate plus intensity of new French oak small format barrels. There's a bit of game, cured meat, and some lavender and sage. On the palate, the wine is dry, acidity is moderate plus, alcohol is medium plus, body is medium plus, tannins are medium plus, but ripe. Confirming on the palate, ripe red cherries. I don't know if I said fruit on the nose. Fruit on the nose, similar as the palate, ripe red cherries, ripe blackberry. Palate confirms the nose, ripe red cherry, ripe blackberry, violets, iris, cracked pepper, cured meat, game, vanilla toast, cinnamon indicating a moderate plus intensity of new French oak small format barrels. Wine is in balance, length is long, complexity is medium plus. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Syrah, Grenache. I think this wine's coming from a warm climate. Possible countries, the United States and Australia. Age range 3 to 5 years. Final conclusion, wine number 4 is a Syrah from the United States, from California, from Sonoma County, from the Petaluma Gap AVA vintage 2019. Okay. Wine number 1 is a medium concentration of straw, secondaries of silver, and some green. Tearing is moderate. Tearing is heavy. There's no gas evidence or sediment. On the nose, the wine has reduction, otherwise it's clean. Fruit on the nose, ripe yellow apples, overripe pears, high intensity of minerality, saline, bread dough, cheese rind indicating lees aging. There's a little bit of honey and paraffin, and a little bit kind of ashy and smoky. On the palate, wine is dry, alcohol is high, body is full, really high in phenolic bitterness, round texture, yeah, confirming on the palate, ripe peach, ripe lemon. There's some cut grass and kind of wasabi oil, honey and saffron, paraffin, petrichor, high intensity of a stony minerality. Okay. Wine is in balance, length is long, complexity is high. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Assyrtiko and Gruner Veltliner. I think this wine's coming from a moderate climate. Possible countries are Greece and Austria. Age range is 3 to 5 years. Final conclusion, wine number 1 is a Gruner Veltliner from Austria, from the Wachau, from the Niederösterreich, from Wachau. Quality level is Smaragd, the vintage 2022. There is something different about wine 6 versus wine 5, but I like that Syrah. Rioja Blanco, Semillon, and Gruner. Okay. Wine number 5 is an opaque concentration of purple at the core, secondaries of ruby, bright ruby rim, heavy staining, no gas evidence, no sediment. It's hazy though. On the nose, the wine has ethyl acetate, overripe black cherries and red cherries, fresh potpourri, vanilla, coconut, and dill, indicating a high intensity of new French or American small format barrels, high intensity of a limestone minerality, savory with curry, fenugreek. On the palate, the wine is dry, alcohol is high, body is full, tannins are medium plus, and soft. Confirming on the palate, overripe red cherries and black cherries, potpourri, vanilla, chocolate, cinnamon, and coconut, indicating a high intensity of small format French oak barrels. High intensity of a limestone minerality, curry, cumin, fenugreek. Wine is imbalanced, length is long, complexity is high. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Tempranillo, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. I think this wine's coming from a warm climate. Possible countries are United States, Spain, and I think the age range is 5 to 10 years. Final conclusion, wine number 5 is a Tempranillo from Spain, from the Rioja Autonomia, from the Rioja DOCA vintage 2021 Reserva. Wine number 6 is an opaque concentration of purple at the core, leading out to a bright ruby rim. Staining is heavy. There's no gas evidence or sediment. On the nose, the wine is clean, powerful intensity, youthful. Fruit on the nose, fresh violets, baked blueberry, blackberry jam, and ripe red cherry. There's vanilla, toast, and cinnamon, indicating a high intensity of new French oak. There's a bit of a sandy minerality and a bit of tomato leaf. On the palate, the wine is dry with a ripe attack. Acidity is moderate plus, alcohol is high, body is full, tannins are medium plus and soft. Confirming on the palate, blueberry jam, overripe blackberry, overripe red cherry, high intensity of a sandy minerality, vanilla, toast, and cinnamon, indicating a high intensity of new French oak. Tomato leaf, a little bit of like a slight pepper and cured meat, a little bit. But really driven by ripe fruit and oak, but an undeniable minerality as well. Wine is imbalanced, length is long, complexity is medium plus. Initial conclusion, possible grape varieties are Tempranillo, Zinfandel, and Merlot. I think this wine's coming from a warm climate. Possible countries: the United States, Spain. I think the age range is 3 to 5 years. Final conclusion, wine number 6 is a Tempranillo from Spain, from Semillon, from Toro, vintage 2021. fruit, pepper, bread dough, cheese rind, Rioja, and this could be Assyrtiko. It was so bitter on the palate. Assyrtiko is going to be 14% at least. And just like lemon, mineral, ash. This has peach and ginger. Good on these two. Rioja, never looking at it again. Semillon, never looking at it again. Syrah, same deal. Why not Red Mountain Cab with American Oak? This wine there's mineral and earth on this wine. This feels like huge diurnal shifts. Heavy staining. What do I call it? I call that one Toro, or I think I said this one was Toro. I'm not confident on these wines. Something about the brightness of the fruit on this wine is challenging. But it is undeniably mineral on the palate. This is an old world wine. Same with this one. Tempranillo. Toro with that ripe fruit. A little bit more classic Rioja. That makes sense. That makes sense. I don't think I can change anything. This is not something Italian. This is not, I mean, like possible grape varieties are Touriga Nacional and Tempranillo on wine 6. Touriga Franca maybe. It's floral, it's pretty, but I'm not going to change my conclusion. So, yeah. 45 seconds to spare. Syrah. Semillon. Rioja. And this could be Riesling, Gruner, or Assyrtiko on wine 1, but I'm going to stick with Gruner.